Once again, you are welcome to Evangelist Nyima Kalu TV, Treasury of Excellent Knowledge. As you know, I am your serviceable servant, Evangelist Nyima Kalu. This evening, I want to talk on this topic. Are men superior to women? I want to speak on the controversy about superiority of men over women, and the contention from some of the women, and in today's world from most of the women, of which the majority of them approach it with the concept of feminism, but without being realistic with the purpose of feminism. On the other hand, some men have misconception of the superiority between us who are men and the women, while on the neutral ground some people come with the concept of equality. Men and women should be equal. Where does that concept come from? Is it from Satan? Is it from feminists? Is it from the globalists? Or is it from some corrupt governmental structures? Where does that sense of or propagation of equality come from? I want to differentiate between equality and equity. Equality means that all of us are equal. Nobody is superior to each other. And the sense of equality creates contention. Everybody begins to drag his or her own rights. And it diminishes respect. It diminishes hierarchy. It diminishes protocols and procedure, and the importance of leadership and followership. But equity means equal rights. Equal rights is different from equal power. Equal power means there is no leader. All of us are leaders. All of us are equal. Nobody can tell anybody what to do. Anybody can decide what he or she chooses to do and begin to do it. Or if we are to do something collectively, we must agree on it. That is equality. But the superiority of power is that there must be a leader. Because according to divine arrangement, there is no progress without leadership. There is no progress without leadership, according to divine arrangement. And that is how life is. Nothing progresses where leadership is missing, or leadership is not respected, or leadership is abused. When I'm talking about leadership, I am not talking about tyranny. I am talking about development by setting the example. I am talking about influencing the people with good examples and bringing development into their life and into the relationship, or into the business, into the government, or whatever institution it is. It can be church, it can be religions, whatever institution it is. It is about bringing good influence, leading by good influence, and creating positive impact into the system. That is what leadership is made for. So The concept of equality is erroneous. It is an affront to the purpose of God, to the plan of God. It is not godly, it is satanic. The topic is, are men superior to women? This is what you are going to understand, because that has been the reason I have come to explain. Let me begin to read the book of Genesis chapter 2. The book of Genesis chapter 2. I will begin to read from verse 5. And when no plant, this is Amplified Classic. When no plant of the field was yet in the earth, and no herb of the field had yet sprung up, for the Lord God had not yet caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was no man to till the ground. Do you see? There was no man to till the ground. This is after God had completed the creation, and God has created the spirit of human being in two genders, male and the female. Male may be mentioned first, and the female secondarily. Verse 6, but there went up a mist, fog, vapor from the land, and watered the whole surface of the ground. 7, then the Lord God formed man from the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostril the breath or spirit of life, and man became a living being. Compare it to 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 45 to 49, as quoted by Apostle Paul. Now God had created the man. This man here is Adam. So God created the man first. This is God communicating the law of first. This is God starting with the man first. So God respects the law of first. God knows the importance of first. God always takes the first step in everything he began. Even in the creation, he created everything step by step. He took the first step, the second step, the third step, and continuously he completed the creation. Now it is about creating man. What is the reason for creating this man? Because God has created the earth, and with the intention of making the earth the replicate of heaven. But there was nobody yet to tend, to be cultivating, and to be managing this God estate called the earth, where we human live. God, it is part of God's plan, and that is the reason he created the human spirit in Genesis chapter 1 verse 26 and verse 27. But now he had begun to create humans in the physical. The wisdom of God here is that God never just created two human beings differently, and he never created the male and the female at the same time when he brought them in the physical. He created the man first. The wisdom of God here is that something must take the lead. Something must be first. God is here instituting the sense of leadership, orderliness, protocols, procedure, seniority, hierarchy. So this is the reason God had created the man first. Verse 8, and the Lord God planted a garden toward the east in Eden, delight, and there he put the man whom he had formed, framed, constituted. And out of the ground the Lord God made to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight or to be desired, good, suitable, pleasant for food, the tree of life also in the center of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of the difference between good and evil, and blessing and calamity. Compare it to Revelation chapter 2 verse 7, Revelation chapter 22 verse 14 and verse 19. Verse 10, now a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from there it divided and became 4 river heads. The first is named Pishon. It is the one flowing around the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. The gold of that land is of high quality. Bdellium, Bdellium, Pearl, and onyx stones are there. The second river is named Gihon. It is the one flowing around the whole land of Cush. The third river is named Hiddekel, the Tigris. It is the one flowing east of Assyria, and the fourth river is the Euphrates. Then, verse 15. Let me read from verse 15 to 17. And the Lord God took the man and put him in the garden of Eden to tend and to guard and keep it. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, You may freely eat of every tree of the garden, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and blessing and calamity you shall not eat of it. For in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die. So God created the man, and God had not created this woman. God had deployed Adam to taking care of his estate, which is here called the Garden of Eden. And God gave his first commandment, his first law of discipline, law of respect to each other, law of moderation, law of setting and respecting each other's boundary. Many things are included into this one law. This law is the foundation of the 10 Commandments, the law of contentment. All of these things are in the same law God had given to Adam. At this point in time, God had not created Eve. God was running his business with Adam, even in the absence of Eve. What is God communicating here? The man had begun to build, had been established on his own before the woman will come. And this kind of issue is more relative to marriage. I will separate the leadership in marriage from the general leadership all over the world and in all of the institutions. Verse 18. Now the Lord God said, It is not good, sufficient, satisfactory that the man should be alone. I will make him a helper, meet, suitable, adapted, complementary for him. And out of the ground the Lord God formed every wild beast and living creature of the field and every bird of the air, and brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. And whatever Adam called every living creature, that was his name. So man had begun to exercise the dominion authority God had given to him over other creatures, even before the woman came into the scene. Verse 20. And Adam gave name to all the livestock, and to the birds of the air, and to every wild beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helper meet, suitable, adapted, complementary for him. Adam was still alone. (21) And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and while he slept, he took one of his ribs, or a part of his side, and closed up the place with flesh. God conducted surgery. God conducted surgery on Adam taking one of his ribs and closing the space, while God had caused him to fall into deep sleep that he never knew when God operated him and removed one of his ribs. Verse 22. And the ribs are part of his side, which the Lord God had taken from the man, he built up and made into a woman, and he brought her to the man. So from the rib, from the part of the man, God created the woman and brought the woman to the man. Then Adam said, this creature is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of a man. Adam could recognize that Eve was a product of a rib taken out from him. And Eve is part of him. And he cannot deny himself. Denying Eve is like denying himself. So Eve was not an animal. Eve was a proper human being. And this is not God creating two individuals separately. It is God creating Adam first, and from the rib he collected from Adam, he created Eve. Verse 24. Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother, and shall become united, and cleave to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. Compare it to Matthew 19 verse 5, 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 16, Ephesians chapter 5 verse 31 to 33. Verse 25. And the man and his wife were both naked, and were not embarrassed or ashamed in each other's presence. God joined Adam and Eve in marriage. They began to enjoy their sex life without being ashamed of each other or being embarrassed for it, because they were enjoying it, and God had permitted them to do that, and that should be the means of reprocreation and the starting point of it. It is about, are men superior to women? In terms of men being superior to women, has to do with the kind of relationship the man has with the woman, or the kind of transaction that bring them together. The kind of transaction that bring them together. Then, to be specific, in marriage, men are superior to women. In marriage, men are superior to women. In marriage, men are superior to women in marriage. In the sense that God had orchestrated this system, making the man to be the head of the family, making the man to be the leader. This is what God has communicated. It doesn't matter the potential the woman may possess. It doesn't matter the academic degree or financial status or social status or whatever status the woman, the wife, may possess. Far more superior to her husband, she must be loyal to that her husband. It is called submission. When Apostle Paul was reiterating on this, he said, husband, love your wife. Wife, submit to your husband. So, the man has the responsibility of taking the lead, and with genuine love. The woman also has the responsibility of following up, being a humble follower, a submissive follower. And he said, the man and and his wife become one flesh. Verse 24. Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother, and shall become united, and cleave to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. Verse 24. The man shall be matured. One of the reasons many men cannot be good leaders in marriage is because they are not matured. God says here, Bible says here, and I am saying to you here, that the man should leave his father and his mother. Many people had misunderstood this quotation, misinterpreted it, and begin to misapply it by claiming that it is not in the African culture or in the Igbo culture that a man should leave his father and his mother to join his wife. Because to them, they think it is just the man packing his load from his parents' house to go and live with his wife in his wife's home. No, this is not what the Bible is saying. Some say that it is European culture. The Bible is not European culture. European culture is not the Bible standard. What the Bible is saying here is that the man must be a man. The man must be maturely minded, maturely spirited. The man must be independent, in the sense that the man should be matured enough to think for himself, to make the right decision. To make the right decision. The man should not be a person that cannot make any wise decision unless his father or his mother or any of his relatives decide for him what he must do in his marriage. Such a man is not matured enough to be a husband. Because as I speak, there are 50 years old men who are not matured for marriage because of these kind of costly weaknesses. The man shall leave his father and his mother means that the man must be an independent man. The man shall be financially independent, which means it is not obligatory that the man must be rich, but the man must have his means of livelihood so that he can be able to take care of himself and take care of the wife, so that he will not depend on the parents, and the parents will not take it as advantage to control his family. Because some men make the mistake of not having their livelihood, and they will go and marry and be dependent on their parents to feed their family. It is a very terrible mistake. Most of the parents take advantage of it to control that marriage. This is what the Bible is condemning. The man shall not make that mistake. And any man who has no livelihood, who cannot provide for himself, I mean, when the man is of matured age to have something doing, and the man does not have anything doing, and maybe does not want to do anything or whatever, or maybe the man just started, that is not the proper time for the man to get married. So financial security is important. Sense is important. Many men are not matured to lead in marriage. So this is where the problem lies. In other ways, it is not about the man packing his load to go and live with his wife in his wife's home. No. It is about the man and the woman planning together, becoming one, like one person, having teamwork and the team spirit. Teamwork and the team spirit. It is not about the man packing his load and to go and live with the woman. This means the man should be independent. Being independent, the man can live in his own home, outside of the room of his parents. Even if it is a very huge compound where all of his parents live together with him, at least the man must have his privacy. Even if it is 1 or 2 rooms apartment, they must have their privacy. It should not be the man taking his wife and be sleeping together in the same room with his mother or his father. They must have their privacy. But the best is if the man should at least give them chance completely, go and get his own house. If he has not built his own house, then live separately with his wife while the two begin to plan together. It is about planning together, building together, starting a new family together, and planning the future together, building the children together, and setting up the children together to be their successor as those who will take over from them. That is what the Bible is communicating. In other ways, verse 25, and the man and his wife were both naked and and we are not embarrassed or ashamed in each other's presence. So the man and the woman love themselves. We can see the love being expressed. Nobody was resenting the other. As a man, it is not good that you marry a woman you don't love, a woman you resent. As a woman, it is not good you marry a man that you resent. Apart from money, apart from whatever, make sure you marry someone you can feel comfortable to be with. Somebody you can be proud of. This person may not be the most educated, may not be the richest, but you must have something that must make you confident to be with him. He should not be a kind of person you will not be able to present in the public as your husband. You man, she must not be a kind of person you will not be bold to present to your friends and others as being your wife. So check well whom you are to marry. But whomsoever you marry, the man must take the lead and the woman must be a humble follower. This is what God is saying. This is what the Bible is saying concerning the superiority of man over woman. It is in marriage precisely. Then in other institutions, it can be otherwise. It is in marriage, and it is about superiority and the subordination of leadership and relationship. It is not about the man humiliating the woman. It is not about the man turning the woman to his slave. Marriage is not an institution for slavery. Leadership in the marriage is not tyranny, but it is inspiration, it is development, it is bringing progress, it is taking action, being the first to take the good action while you give order so that both your wife and your children should follow. Then women, you have the role to be submissive. You must not be a woman who will be in marriage and begin to think that you are superior to your man or to your husband. What I mean is this: if you are more educated than your husband, don't be intimidating him with your education. Rather, you are to support his weakness with your education. That is respect and humility. If you have more money than him, you are richer than him, you are more connected than him, genuinely, you should not use the money to humiliate him. Rather, you should be using the money to honor him. Despite you are the person making the money, you must learn how to be accountable to him and how to plan with him on how you should be spending the money for the good of the entire family. That is humility. Also, men, you should not take advantage of the humility of your wife to be misusing everything she hands over to you, be it money, be it whatever, because there are men who do not know how to manage. It becomes a problem also. So a good leader must be a good manager. You must be managing every resource that comes into your hand. So that is another thing. The video had been 30 minutes and continuing, so I want to round it up so that in less than the next 10 minutes, I'll round it up. Generally, men are not always superior to women. Outside of marriage, it depends on individual capacity, be it in the church or everywhere. It depends on individual capacity. There are men who decide to be mediocres, or maybe it is not according to their decision, but life has placed them in the line of mediocrity. They should not introduce the concept of men as superior to women and use it to suppress the women just because they want to be on the top. Traditionally, this kind of thing happens so much. The false sense of superiority of men is meted so much in the African tradition and in the ancient Israeli tradition. Even it is worse in the Arabian tradition. So, it is only in the tradition that the superiority of man is imposed on the woman. It is only in tradition. But when we come to the secular world, is it in business institution? Is it in government? Is it in academic institution? All other secular institution we have, besides royal institution, traditional institution, and marriage, it depends on individual qualification and individual performance. And this superiority does not have to do with gender. Rather, it has to do with capacity, individual capacity, personal capacity, as in quality of skill, quality of knowledge, quality of service anybody can render. That can be the criteria to qualify for position. And all of these things are based on transaction, universal transaction, and not on personal relationship between the man and the woman. Anything that has to do with personal relationship between man and the woman, we can conclude that it is aimed at ending in marriage. So anything that has to do with personal relationship between the man and the woman owes it. The woman owes it to the man to be submissive. At this point, the academic prowess, the military prowess, all of the high status, high qualification, and high connection must be kept aside inside of that relationship, though I am not encouraging any kind of sexual relationship outside of marriage. So I want us to understand the deep meaning of men being superior to women. It is precise in marriage. It is precise in marriage. Then, in other ways, in other institutions, it is optional. It is dependent on the personal meritment, on personal quality. And it is not always about to control the person as an individual. It is about to lead the interest of the organization. So it is a collective purpose. It is a collective goal, a collective agenda that must be led with by a competent person. So in such a society, when there is no competent man and the woman has the opportunity to lead, the woman becomes the leader. So that is being the leader in the organization. So that does not also mean that the woman has just become superior automatically to control the man outside of the institution. Because outside of the institution, if they have any other thing to do outside of that institution, the game also changes. The man may decide whether he should be loyal to the woman outside of their institution or not. Outside of their institution and they are not married, the junior staff as a man marries a senior staff in that institution. When they come to work, the man should respect the office of his wife. But when they end the work, the woman must respect the office of the man in their marriage. So the sense of equality is a fallacy. It is a contention. It is not from God. What I have explained here is equity, not equality. Equity, equal right. Give me my submission, I will give you my love. Equal rights in marriage. Respect my office, I will respect you. Respect my office. I know I'm your wife. I am humble to you. But in this institution, in this bank, I'm superior to you. Respect my office. It is not something that is just between you and I. It is something that has to do with the general members of the institution. Outside of the work, when we go home, I will still humble myself to you. And you, man, understand it rightly. That is how it should be. May God bless you. Remember, I am your serviceable servant, Evangelist Imakalo. Always remember my books. This is my master textbook. People are really missing things because people have not been buying this book in high number. People have begun to buy this book and other books, but very few at the moment. You have to begin to buy them in high number, buy, read, introduce the book to others. Understanding and executing righteousness. So all I have just explained in this video is just a tip. It's just a tip, a very little tiny something from the book. So you have a lot to learn from the book and all other books that I have written. Until I come your way once again, I say to you, bye for now.